What's up, people? This your boy Humble Dad. Welcome back to another edition of Humble Dad Podcast. We in the building. We got a good show for you today. Only because I said so, but you'll see as we go along. Today we're gonna be talking about kids as usual, but we're gonna talk about some other things as well. And I'm ready to see what the people got to say. And so we're gonna welcome to the stage first and foremost Miss Shay Knuckles. What's up, Shay?
Good evening. How's it going?
I'm doing well. Okay, I might have to take you out and come back in. But real quick, tell us your favorite, your hero and why. Who's your favorite hero and why?
I don't have a favorite hero. I was trying to think of someone, but I don't have one. I don't think I idolize people like that. So
Okay, she used the word idolize. Okay, oh, all right. So let's see how the next person what they say. Hey, coming to the stage, Mr. Trigger Mike. What's going on with you, bro?
Good evening, all. How y'all doing?
Doing well, man. Appreciate you being here
Yep, as always, it's a pleasure.
for sure.
My favorite hero, I guess I'm gonna be cliche and say my dad, my father, because yeah, like Shay, it's like I can't really say I got any heroes anymore. But if I'm looking at someone who taught me something, and it's a little bit more because he's an immigrant, so I'm a first generation American, and I see, and I don't know if people notice, but a lot of not just Nigerians, but a lot of immigrant men made deals with their wives that we're gonna make money here, but we're gonna go back to our country.
Mm,
And that never happens for most of them. And because you ask a lot of, especially Nigerians, African men, the dad Ben went back, or he goes back and spends half the year there because they don't really like people over here. They just like, these ain't my people. These people don't like me. I'm going back to the peruse the people that like me, and
yeah,
that I want to, that I grew up with, and that's what makes them happy. So I noticed that he gave a large amount of sacrifice because he didn't do that. He didn't leave us here. You know what I mean? He loved his kids too much. So everything he is, everything he sacrificed, everything I am is because of his sacrifice, right? So he didn't do what was agreed to by my mom. He didn't just go back and live because he made his money and all of that. He sacrificed so he could provide a life and assistance and support to his family throughout it all, even though this isn't even where he want to be. So that's why he my hero.
that's what's up. Appreciate that. Welcome to the stage, Mr. Dwayne Jones. What's going on, partner?
Yo, yo, good to see y'all. Glad to
You
be
too,
here.
homie. Absolutely. You got the question.
Yes, man, this question has been on my mind this past year. I'll say that, uh, for real, because I've always wondered why can't Jesus be considered a hero? Because he would be the ultimate superhero.
Hmm.
Like, in the sense for me is like what people look up to and aspire to be. So I'll use that Baptist answer, but I do believe it. I do believe it to be true. It is going to be Jesus for me
That's
because
what's up.
even going to what Trigger said, that's what speaking of his father, the whole sacrifice, laying down yourself in order to lift up others and provide for others. So yeah,
That's what's up. Thank you for sharing. Welcome to the stage, Mr. King Rio in the building. How you doing, sir?
What's happening, Doc?
I'm good, man. I can't complain. If I did, it wouldn't matter anyway, right?
I hear you.
So
I hear you.
what you got on it? Your favorite
Man,
hero and why?
man, Dwayne took the words out of my mouth. Honestly,
Wow.
Uh, honestly, I mean, the only savior, that I truly can believe in. Everything else is kind of imaginative. You know what I mean, and
Mm.
perspective. But without doubt, you know what I mean, and sturdy in my faith. And as a man that's been praying since I was taught how to pray as a child. That's the only savior that I can look up to, so to speak.
Mm. That's what's up. I would say I knew that was going to be Dwayne's answer. That's what I know from the top, just having conversations with Dwayne. And I wanted to go with superhero, but I wanted to give it a different spin, and I'm not going to take y'all answer. I'm gonna go with just it's not necessarily my favorite because I would say what y'all said, but thinking about it, I would say it'd be my kids, because them losing their mom and then how they rock and still be able to move and persevere, whether it's at school, sports, and talking to people, right? And they are some. Even though I be having my issues with them, Dwayne know about it. The way that they rock out here, trying to make sure that daddy's good at times. I would say that they're currently my heroes, especially this year for sure. All right. So here we go. Everybody ready? All right. We got some simple questions, I think. You know what I'm saying? I'll try to make it a little lighthearted, maybe. We're going to start with this question. What is the difference between talent and passion? What is the difference between talent and passion? Give you a little bit of think time. And whoever wants to go can go, and you choose the next person. What's the difference between talent and passion? This is a talk show.
All right, so I'll break the monotony. I think the difference is when you talk about a talent, you're talking about a natural skill. Your aptitude for something that has been honed through just an organic. You honed it organically, you have it organically. You can have certain talents simply because you're tall. You can have certain talents simply because you're flexible, or intelligent, and the way you've been groomed throughout your life. If you had if your father or mother was a college professor, you're going to have different ways of thinking, ways to solve math problems. You can solve a problem in 2 steps that takes the average person 10 steps. That is a talent, a natural aptitude or skill. Whereas a passion, people are trying to acquire it, even though they may have no talents in it at all. And I would like to say that I believe this particular, well, not necessarily in the word passion, but this is how the Kardashians got famous. They got no talents, but they have a passion to be in front of that camera, though. They got a passion for getting attention in all the wrong ways. So they became famous for it because if you do it enough, if you follow the rules of how it's supposed to be done to acquire whatever it is you're trying to acquire, that profile, that notoriety, it worked. They have absolutely no talent, but somehow they're the most famous people on earth. Weird, right?
Wow. You get to pick who's next. Hey, you starting beef, bro.
King Rio, I pick him next since I ain't been on with him on this show before.
Yeah, man. I think it's really just the difference between desire and ability. You know what I mean? I think, with some things that we're passionate about, we have this enthusiasm, this deep desire, and we really don't have to be convinced. The buy-in is just there. The satisfaction is there. Um, a lot of people have abilities that they don't hone in on because they essentially aren't passionate about whatever that is. Sometimes we have natural abilities and we just like, nah, I'd rather not. There's even coming up, and we talk about superheroes and things like that. Just thinking about it coming up as a kid, there were certain kids that had abilities, in certain sports that you could just never convince them to play. No, I'm cool. But it's like why aren't you on the team? Like literally, like you're the most athletic guy I've seen. Why aren't you on the team? Nah, I'm just really not feeling it. And so these things that don't always translate into passion. So yeah, I don't know which I'd rather have, honestly. That's another question that pops into my mind. But Shay,
We'll go there. Shay, you say Shay next?
Yeah.
No, you explained it very well. Can y'all hear me? Good. Okay, so you explained it very well. I think that talent is just something that you're good at either naturally or you were taught to do it, and you're exceptional at it or above average. And then your passion is hopefully you're using your talent that you're passionate about as well, because then you're living in the great world. I feel like I'm talented and passionate in my job, so that's why I'm like, okay, I got the best of both worlds. But passionate is just like, you know how to do it, you desire to do it, your vision is bigger beyond what you can even say or see for doing whatever it is that you could possibly be talented in. Or it's just something that is heart driven. It's what's motivating you, what helps you get out of bed, what allows you to stay focused. It allows you to dare to dream even further, even bigger. So I would say that's the passion. Go for it, Dwayne. I know you got some philosophical. I can see it. I can feel
No,
it.
no, this was a difficult question. Well done. As for, I think y'all nailed it. Talent is something that's naturally, it's a gift, uh, and I've seen it go both ways. Where you see people who are just athletes and they're talented, but yet something about their character does not allow them to persevere, or to get to the next level. And I think what I do believe they, in order for someone to be ultimately successful in their trade, in their craft, and what they do, they have to have both, talent and passion. And I look at that in someone who I'm not a fan of, but I have to respect him, and that's Kobe Bryant. Right, Kobe Bryant. Yeah, I said it. I said it. I said it. Yeah, don't shut me off. But yes, Kobe Bryant is one of those. He's a talented athlete, but whenever it comes down to the passion for the game, like, he is one that, um, his peers will talk about his work ethic, not just his talent, but his work ethic. And as for the time that he spends in the gym working on his craft, so it's like the dedication that's put to it. And I also like to see whenever athletes go from being players with talent to now transcending to being coaches, because now they're able to then teach people what made them great. And it's not just the talent, because not everyone has that. But then, as for coachability, as for being able to then take criticism, take critique, and then step your game to the next level. And I do approach it that you do need talent and passion in order to then transcend to the next level.
What would you consider the next level? I'm gonna come to you, Trigger Mike.
The next level is like what Trigger was speaking about last week, taking teaching, making complex things simple, and being able to, as for teaching it. So the next level is being able to replicate yourself, and in that is you're taking the talents in which they have, and then adding the passion in which you have to see people be great. That's how I would then put it.
That's what's up. Go ahead, Trigger Mike.
No, all I was gonna say is you were talking about Kobe Bryant in like present tense, to where I looked at the date like, did I just travel back in time or something? And I was so hurt. I have no idea why. I was so hurt about his passing,
Hmm.
but it was almost like I almost got giddy. Like, he not really did. Did they announce that it was all fake? Like, you kept saying it in present tense. I was like,
Ah,
Yeah,
is there
yeah.
something I don't know?
Yeah. So even with that, like, he would be one who I would see who would actually be a coach. I don't know if he said that he wouldn't do it, or what, but he would be
He
one.
would be a terrible coach. You know why? He would have been anyway. He No, he
what
would
did
have
you
been
say? He
no. This,
what?
this this is what I'm saying. He would have been a terrible coach, because men like that. So this is funny. That I was just
Mhm.
explaining this to someone when it was on the topic of women want leaders, and I was like, women don't want leaders, and they were like, what do you mean? I said, no, no, no. An authoritative leader. Like, have you ever known somebody who was a very high ranking person in the army? Like, you knew that person, sergeant major, or captain in the Navy, something like that. Do you see how these people run their household? If they are supposed to be in charge of battalions and regiments, do you think that the woman that is their second in command in the house, do you think she's not doing nothing? The sergeant major that I had living in my neighborhood, his kids could not be doing anything when he walked in the house. They had to be doing something. Like literally, you have to be reading a book, washing dishes, cleaning your room. You cannot be sitting down doing anything when he walks into the house for the entirety of their life. That's who Kobe Bryant was. He was a general. So he would have had bone breaking, soul crushing expectations, which his players would not live up to
Bro,
at
I
all.
cannot believe y'all transition this conversation about
My
Kobe.
bad.
It's okay because listen, I'm gonna go there for a moment because that's my dude. Right? That's my dude. Listen, y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Okay. The dude was a mentor off top to Kyrie, to Jason Tatum, to some couple other dudes. Like reached out to Kobe for him to be their mentor. He didn't want to be a coach. Right? It's not that he couldn't be one, because if he couldn't be one, then they wouldn't be reaching out to him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In my estimation, just based on that. And also his personality as a player was different than as a business person.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He was that much of a difference. And then you can see how his kids loved him, right? And his wife loved him. So I wouldn't estimate that he was a militant person just based on the affection that his kids have for him, because oftentimes militant kids have a fear of that type of militant type of dad until they get into older years from the dads that I've interviewed. So that's neither here nor there. But Kobe, hey, just your opinion.
But
You
just
know,
to clarify,
it's one of those.
Clarify, I wasn't saying Kobe himself would be a bad coach. He would be a phenomenal, like you said, mentor to people. I'm saying everybody else sucks. That's what I'm actually saying. You will just get mentored by him to be like, damn, I can't keep up with this guy and his expectations. He's a monster. You saw that video of him in the Olympics up at 5 a.m. and they coming in from the club. That's the average athlete these days. They get a little money, they lose all discipline. They lose their mind.
What you gonna say, King Real, and then you, Shay?
You would have to be okay with the fact that you may never make the grade if you were to play under him, because you would never be able to match his work ethic, his discipline. So you would have to have that self-driving motivation just to be on the team.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And be okay with, you may not get that pat on the back. I think the parallel Trigger Mike made to the military dad, so to speak, you're expected to be doing something productive. That's the expectation. It's not the high five. It's what I expect you to do. You know what I mean? So you have to understand that there's a certain mentality that you have to have just to be on his team. So that's one of the things that I think about, when I think about playing under Kobe Bryant. If you've ever been coached by an ex-athlete who was phenomenal, I think sometimes you may get a taste of that. There is no, hey, I don't feel like it today. There is none of that. There's no, every day you're expected to give 110. So that's what, in my opinion, would it be like to play under Kobe Bryant.
What you guys
I wouldn't want to be on his team.
Go ahead,
side of him too, because I remember during the interview he said that Phil came to him and was like, "Hey, we need you to scale back so that Shaq can, be one of the leading scorers and get more recognition and get his hands on the ball more. We need Shaq to get more touches," and he was totally on board with that. So you can't, a person who's typically a general always wants to be in control and doesn't want to take a back seat, but he did for the sake of the team and for his coach during the time. So I do think that there is a selfless side. Now, I do agree, King Rio, that when you're an athlete, there is the expectation. And I think that's why I have to scale back a lot of times in parenting, because it's hard being my kid. I played D1 basketball, and although my son is like, "You were just a D1 center," that's still a big deal because not everyone can play D1 basketball. And so now that he's an athlete, I'm on his butt so hard. He's like, he's so loud, you know. So there is the expectation, and that's why I learned early on that I could not be a coach because I don't have the patience for it. Because I'm not passionate about it either. I just want to get it done. So I think you do have to have that passion mixed with that talent in order for it to be a good mesh of success.
Sorry, I want to throw one more out there. Deion Sanders, what he's been doing. So I got to give my respect there. That's to me is another one that's transcending from that talent now to taking that passion to then bringing people around him to to do well and be successful in their craft.
That's so crazy. I have a couple questions about that. So, uh, would you want your kid to play for Deion Sanders?
Yes, absolutely, I would. Because that goes back to the whole like Kobe, right? Like it requires a certain mentality. And I remember watching this movie Whiplash, and it's about with this drummer and this high intensity instructor at the school, and he pursued perfection and wouldn't accept anything less. And it was an interesting thing to watch because I then take it into the sports field, and what King Rio was saying is like, hey, there is this expectation, like, and once you accept that, it's now you're on that path to do well, and whatever it takes in order for you to get there, like you already have mentally prepped that, hey, I'm ready to do it, rather than like, nah, I'm out. And for some people that's fine because you know your limits already, but then some people desire to see their limits be pushed, and that's when you then transcend to be great.
So, what about y'all? What y'all? What be your thoughts if your kids say, "I want to go play for Deion Sanders"?
I'm indifferent, man. But it's because I went to a HBCU. I got mixed feelings about him right now. So let me get out my feelings real quick. When you look at what Deion Sanders is doing, like some people like to talk about the person he is as a individual. I don't really care. You know, it's really about what he can do, as a program. He actually ran a really good program. He was transparent with the things he was doing. He brings a lot of exposure, new equipment. Um, I guess if we're talking about if my son was in, I live in this area of Houston where I thought in Virginia football was gospel. No, it's really gospel here. These people be winning national championships in this neighborhood. So if my son goes into this system and he's a star athlete, I need to know if you're gonna stay long enough to see your first recruits graduate, bro, or at least get a few of them placed in the NFL. So if he can stay put, like he has a vibrant, I'm just gonna say a very vibrant personality. And we get that. He's been that way. Like nobody's surprised by that. That's Deion Sanders. He's been that way. But when it comes to the well-being and careers of these boys, what part are you going to start to begin to humble yourself down a little bit and be like, nope, can't leave. Got to do it for the boys. Got to get a few these boys in the NFL. So I want him to transition from doing things where it looks like, don't know the whole story, where it looks like he's doing it for himself to where he's really just that players coach. And yeah, I have no problem sending my son to his program, right? I wouldn't have it. It's just that those little things in his character be like, you're going to recruit my son, then go to Mizzou or Florida and let the next person just come in? Are you going to tell everybody to enter the transfer portal like you did Colorado? Like, just those things. But no, the coach, I wouldn't have a problem.
Bet. Anybody else have a take on it?
Yeah, man, I think you got to fulfill your promise, to these kids, at least these set of kids, those who bought into your program. You know what I mean? And if you can do that, it's an honor for my kid to be there. He's a legend, right? But you break your promise to these kids, and it's hard to digest that. I understand the opportunities that are there and available for him to grow, as a coach. However, at what point, um, is an amount of money not enough to take you off your immediate path? I don't think this has to be his end game, but aren't we in the middle of something right now? And I expect you to finish that. I'm not saying you got to retire there, but I expect you to finish that. So yeah, do I send my son to his program? Yeah, but man, don't lead us astray. Don't say one thing and do another. I think it's just that simple for me.
That's fair. Shay, you got a take on it?
I don't really know how Dion is or was as a coach. So, but what I will say for my son, I'm very adamant about the type of coaches that he played for. Like I said, I played D1 basketball, so I know how that game goes. I know, and I went to JUCO first, so I know how you'll have some coaches there who are truly for the players, and you have coaches who don't give a damn, right? And it definitely makes a difference. Um, I will say I don't know if I will let any play for him. I can't really say because I don't know too much about what his coaching style was like. But what I will say is I do agree with most of people. And I did not attend the HBCU, so I know a lot of people are saying if you didn't attend the HBCU, then shut up. You don't have no stake in it. But you do have to finish what you started. There's something called legacy, and it takes time to build a legacy. It takes consistent wins, not just 2 years of wins. Um, and Dion does have the social capital to be able to draw in money and those relationships to get the schools what they need. And I do think that that is a great thing for a coach to have in order for your kid to get to the next level. So it was pretty sad, that he left Jefferson State. And I wish he would have left a stronger legacy there than the one that he did.
That's what's up. Just to give a little backdrop, um, I don't know if y'all. I mean, I know Trigger Mike. He went to HBCU, but I studied just a little bit when I was researching. The majority of HBCUs don't do a good job of managing their money, right? And so
They don't.
that's one of the things that has been leaked or talked about from a source that one of the reasons why Dion decided to leave because of the things that they had promised and didn't fulfill. And so that's as much as I know. So, but I would say, as well as to know if you're going to play D1 ball, the thing that I would talk to my kids about is that it's very possible that this coach won't be here. That's just the nature of Division I sports, period. And it's very possible you won't be here, but is this where you want to start? Because I mean, kids transfer, kids get injured. It's only a year contract, really, at the end of the day, right? So, as it relates to him staying, and I can understand the position of he should have stayed for to see his people go, people he recruited kind of go to the league and things of that nature. But I'm also under the guise of that they didn't fulfill their end of the bargain from what the reports say. So why do I need to fulfill mine if you're not fulfilling yours? But as we get into the part of the talent and the passion, I wanted to ask the question: if your kid has passion and no talent at what he's passionate about, so let's talk about that. What if your kid has passion and no talent? What would be the conversation?
This is a cultural no-no in my culture.
Okay.
Oh boy. Yeah, I've heard stories. I mean, they don't allow the manifestation of passions in the Nigerian community. At least, they won't condone it. Do what you want as a free citizen. But I think that's most cultures. They use that exact word too to describe what the child is doing wrong. You don't chase passion. You chase what's absolute. You chase what works. You chase something that's systemic, that's proven. You don't throw, drop of water in the ocean and say, I'm gonna be the one that that doesn't know. They don't allow that at all. To be quite honest, I'm the same way. It rubbed off on me hard. But I do, as a first generation American who has cousins over here, and I've seen the way some people have done it, I'm going to explain to my children that their passions cannot be at the forefront until they become profitable enough to take over the main thing. I'm going to compartmentalize their life like that. I got a cousin that wanted to be a DJ because he saw what I was doing in college. I was a party promoter, but it's my father's fault. He owned bars, he owned a strip club, he owned all this stuff. So I was exposed to the entertainment industry. So I knew how to do all that. I saw everybody was looking at all these people on campus like bait, like, oh, I'm gonna get these girls. I looked at them like money. Let me get these people something to do. Right. So he saw that, and then he saw me DJing. I DJ part-time. That's what he wanted to be. But of course, his parents wanted him to be a doctor. So his dad told him, like, he kind of waited till I was around and said, the reason he's doing this is because he can actually make a lot of capital in this industry because of what his dad does. He's not doing it. This is his thing. He's not doing it for pleasure or for fun. It's money. You're trying to do it for pleasure. It's what you always wanted to do. So he said, how about you become a doctor and build your own DJ studio in your garage? How about that? Guess what my cousin got today? The cleanest, most expensive digital tables. He got the Serato, this, the, and every time he come over here, you in his man cave. Yeah, you want to see the new mix I'm dropping? He sucked so bad, but he can afford every piece of equipment. I mean, he sucked bad. I don't even want to go over there. He can't even mix yet. He be trying, he can't even mix. So, but that's how I'm explaining to my kids. The main thing that I'm in charge of that. Your passion doesn't come before my trajectory for your life, because I've done this before. Your mother's done this before. You, no matter what your passion is, you will lose passion for it if you're broke. I don't know a person that's broke and be like, I love playing the flute while I'm on the street homeless. No, I don't really see that for people. So I'm gonna say, follow my directions first. Your passion comes secondary. That'll be my advice.
I can't stand a DJ that can't mix well. Like, that is torture. So
It's like a bad bartender.
it's bad, terrible. But I think that's why it's good to expose your children early when you notice things that they are passionate about. Because I can't necessarily say that if Vinny is passionate about something that I'm going to pull him away from it, but I will figure out how he can make money from it. So I think if he gets that exposure early on, then it's up to me as his parent to kind of guide him so that he can make money from it. Like, I know he can sell somebody anything. I know he enjoys basketball. It's certain things that I know that he truly enjoys. He loves animals. So then we'll just have to explore different areas on how he can capitalize and make money from it. Because honestly, it's a beautiful life when you can make money off the things that you're passionate about. And it's really the definition of living your best life. And I would want it for everybody. And I'm speaking from experience, seriously, because I say every day, I wake up and I love what I do every day. Like, I love to strategize. I love numbers. I love taxes. I get to help people, educate them.
You make hella money though, don't you? Doing what you do.
I do, but
that's why you love it so much. No, that's
not the reason why I love it so much, because I give a lot of game for free as well, or just to give it, because what I'm truly passionate about is educating people, ensuring that we know how to solidify wealth, ensuring you know how to make money, ensuring you know how certain things affect you. Like, that's what I'm passionate about. And I'm just really talented with strategizing and numbers. So I just put the two together, and it's something that I can make a whole lot of money doing, right? And I think I would take the same approach with my son, just pulling out those different characteristics that are different things that he's exceptionally passionate about and do really well, and try to see what can we make of it. And do that early on so that he kind of has an idea. Like, I'm not that parent that's going to push education, even though I have degrees, multiple. I'm not that parent. I'm that parent that will push what is it that you're passionate about? How can we make money from it and build something long term that's sustainable that you will do no matter what?
Ah, man. Yeah, yeah, this was a tough one. Oh man. So I grew up with a whole bunch of friends that wanted to be rappers. Oh man. That was tough to watch because I had a job and it wasn't a passion of mine, but it made money. And I had a lot of side hustles that made money. But as for it was just tough to watch them spend money on something that I didn't think would get them where they were trying to get to. It's kind of like watching somebody buy scratch offs. It just hurts me each time. So for my kids, like I would do my best to direct them. And Trigger, I like that. I like that that story you gave because that's real. Because there are certain things that you're not good at, and you could once you are able to acquire those things, like your livelihood is not dependent on it. Like now, I guess the new phenomenon is becoming famous on YouTube, becoming a YouTuber. Oh man. I'd much rather my kids pursue a career, right? Something that will be able to supply the capital for that passion that they may not be that good at. They could do that on the side, but you have to be able to provide for yourself and provide for your family. So I think that comes first. So as for your talents, find what you are naturally good at. Find a way for that to be able to make you money. And the things that are on the side, let's say the things that you have passion for that you're not good at, that will not bring you money, then yeah, you could spend money on that on the side. But yeah, that's my take on it.
So are we just saying that the passionate things do not bring money? Like, have we just solely categorized passions with lack of money?
So what it is that we're looking at it from the totality of passion versus talent versus making the right choice in career. Um, children or young people often choose the path of least resistance, right? So if you give them a choice, they're going to choose their passion. Here in this society, people believe, like, because we see the Kardashians, because we see people that look like they came from the hood make it, we're not doing the numbers to say that that's 1% of 1%. You better not put your eggs in that basket, right? So I'm trying to be a YouTuber, but this is literally my fourth stream of income. So it don't matter if it fails or not. I'll be up here to 3 in the morning and trying to grow my channel. That's cool because I got a gun store that makes money online. I got a gun training business the classes are full on the weekends. And then I own, we're opening an autism care business, which I go to 9 to 5. Like I don't not let none of this tertiary, fourth job stuff get in the way of how I feed my family, how I pay for all this stuff I told y'all I had to pay for in literally 2 weeks. You never give that away. If some people, I see what you're saying, and this is actually where I believe a lot of moms go wrong because you have so much hope for your kids. I feel like fathers are way more realistic. You want them to actually achieve their dreams. Fathers want to give them a workable reality, a functional reality, right? So I believe that's the difference between us. Moms want kids to achieve their dream because their passion, like some people are lucky enough for their passion to be profitable. That's 1%. That's why we call them the 1%. Everything like that is 1%. They're the one. Mark Zuckerberg liked making computers and taking apart computer parts, and he invented 1%. Elon Musk was a nerd who liked making cars and space stuff. 1%. It's only 1% of people that will ever make their passion profitable. So I'm not taking those chances.
No, I think it's a lack of exposure, because if I wish my mom had known or just been able to tap into the things that I was passionate about early on, because honestly, I wouldn't have tried to enter corporate America and get fired from every job, right? I just knew it wasn't my place, because I show up, I was getting fired. It's just, I'm like, do I not belong here? Is something going on? I see that there is a disconnect between the longevity and me. Something isn't clicking, right? So I think that we are more educated now as parents to be able to help guide our children to make even better decisions and be able to identify some of those things early on, so that they can start to tap into a lot of those skills, like they're doing coding and all of that stuff early on, so that they can tap into it and find a career or a job or a business or whatever that is, to be able to catapult them into that area sooner and obtain the required skills and talent much sooner than before. Like we're actually paying attention to our children now. And so we're trying to do something about it, where I think before it was this huge, you saw it, but it was like, you're not doing that, instead of,
you know what I also attribute to it, Shay? I think the reason why so many people are against kids pursuing their passions is because kids don't know what they want. Everybody wants something till you start doing it. Just the same way in this generation, everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. You know how long I've been throwing parties, losing money. Like I've put $5,000 on a venue before to have 2 people show up to my party because it was raining so hard. Like, and I lost all that money. Like, y'all don't know what it's like to be an entrepreneur. Like, you see what I'm saying? So it's like everybody wants to do these things until they experience it. They believe it's their passion. So you won't even get to experiment in the passion if you don't have enough money to fund it. So it's like people won't even get over that hurdle. So I get what you're saying about the exposure, because that is actually very vital to what I'm saying. If they get exposed to it, they'll realize that was never their passion to begin with. Some people want to be singers and rappers. Go ahead and show them how long they got to be in the studio. Show them how to put vocals and ad libs on their stuff. They'll be like, well, I can just rap. I can't do that. Then the song is not going to sound good because only melody gets on the radio now. Right. So it's like, show them how their passion is laid out step by step and see if they still like it after that.
Yeah, I could jive with that too. So like another one is video games. Like they'll say, well, when my kid's good at video games, they're going to be a developer or a programmer of some sort. Man, they just having fun.
Yeah.
They're just having fun until they have to figure out how to code or how to program or what it comes to what it takes for graphic editing, the time for the education for that piece. Like then it doesn't become fun; it becomes a grind.
And I think the lines of code required to make a video game.
Correct.
I would never.
Correct. And it's until you get into the trenches and see, like you just see the front piece of it. You don't see what's going on behind it. And I think that's a lot of these things where it comes up. It's like people want to make money having fun doing the things that they do, and it's a minority in which gets to experience that. And corporate America, like Shay was saying, that probably is not the venue for that. That entrepreneurial route, if you want to have fun and be able to make money at the same time, that's a different course or different track, but it's difficult. It is a difficult thing to do. It's a grind, and I think it's worth it if you're able to have fun and make money at the same time. But it's a grind. So, but then I'll also say this. I think we also then see these things that other people have done, and we don't know all that they have went through in order to get there. So, like, especially like as for these rappers, flashing their, all that they have attained from achieving this achievement that they set out for, and they've gotten there, and now they're showing what they have, and then they have all these people running down this course that's not for them, because once they actually realize all that it takes, and maybe they don't even have that talent, like what we're saying, so it's like they waste time and money trying to go down this course that's not for them, because they want to attain what other people they see other people have attained that is not for them.
But that's just like kids who love to cook and can grow up to be a chef. Like there are so many things that kids are passionate about if we truly just take the time to really nurture it and cultivate it. I think they can take those lessons early on and say, "Oh, I don't really like this," or "I do still like that," and they continue to do it because they're passionate about it.
I absolutely agree.
Hold on, Trigger. Hold on. Let King go real quick, and then we'll come to you.
One of the things that comes to mind is I think we just have to instill strong work ethic. Whether if it's them chasing after their dreams, or you know pursuing a career path that we think is a lot more likely to produce success at the end of the road. Either way, strong work ethic is going to be necessary. And I think that that's something that we really, really have to focus on. One of the one of the storylines that comes to mind is from Fences. It started out as a play, and it was a movie as well, right? And Troy wanted his son to focus on working down at the A&P supermarket. He said, you don't need to be at football practice. You need to worry about that job I got you for you to do after school, and he had some of his experience as a man and his hardship through life, and being a great baseball player, so he felt, and not having opportunity. In his eyes, sports were a waste of time, and his son ought not pursue that route. We need to focus on working and producing income and holding on to a steady job. And I'm thinking, well, what could have been an ideal situation? Because I understand both sides and he did tell him, he said, listen, if you can't go work, you can't play football. If for some reason we just couldn't make the two work, and then there was a rebellion that happened. Some lions started happening and all kinds of things. And next thing you know, you had an explosive situation, once the chickens come home to roost. And I think that, whichever route, we decide to guide our kids, I think there should always be the option of, hey, listen, this is how it must be done. And since I'm the parent, you're going to follow my instruction out here. I'm not going to completely remove you from an opportunity to pursue your dreams. However, this is a course that you must take in order to be able to have those opportunities. And if you're not willing to put in the work, then we know you're just going to do what I said is a responsible course of action. So in my mind, I said, man, well, why can't this boy somehow figure out, well, I can work these hours and I go to practice these hours, because this is what you must do in order for it to work, in order for you to live here. This is what your father said you had to do. I'm not saying give up on your dreams. I'm saying fight harder, work harder, be harder, right? And develop good character in the process. Be honest, and so those are the things I think we should focus on. Not so much, hey, you suck, you're not doing that. More or less saying, listen, if you were going to do that, great. But we need some security, because I'm raising you to survive. So if we're going to do both, hey, that you lose sleep trying to do both, hey, you know what I mean? Maybe to make you a better man, maybe to make you a better woman. However, we are not going to forego an opportunity to be secure and develop skills that will turn into um, you know, opportunities to take care of ourselves and our families, to chase after something that may or may not work. We got to do both. So that's my perspective on it.
Trigger Mike, you had something you wanted to say, sir?
No, I was just agreeing with Shay about her point, but all excellent points made on this topic, though.
Yeah, real talk. The reason why it came to mind is because, I mean, of course, I have 4 children, and I have a 13-year-old, and I know as a middle school teacher that this is one of those time periods where they start to be like, this is where I want to do, long term. My oldest, she's been wanting to be a veterinarian and something else I can't remember right now, since she was 4, right? So one of the things that her mom did was that Jen did was she said, okay, let's go see what that looks like. What school you need to go to in order to make that happen? How much do they make if that's what you want to do? And she said what, she went through all the criterias. And so one of the things that it led her to see, Gianna, to see, was that she's gonna have to understand math. She already is an avid reader, and she's passionate about reading. Like she went, it's crazy. Any of y'all like to read? Okay, there you go.
Only if I have to.
Only if you have to.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, y'all probably know Shay and Dwayne. You know about the half price bookstore over there on 75, right? It's like a mall. Okay, it's like a mall.
On Northwest
Right.
Highway 75.
Yes, it's like
Mhm.
it's crazy big, right? And Kendra took Gianna over there, and her face was like she had just walked into like book heaven, right? And she didn't know where to start or anything. But what I've learned is to the passion that she has was reading. And so I started then looking up professions in which she could be use her reading skill set. And one of those things was to be an editor. One of those things would be a screenplay reader. It was a gamut of things that, even though she wanted to be a veterinarian because she enjoys animals, I was able to say, okay, this is your passion. So these are some other parts of what you can do to have your passion become what it is as it relates to your finances. So that was going to be my next question, but I kind of answered it in the middle of kind of conversing, conversing, conversing with y'all for sure. So moving on to the next topic, I wanted to, like I said, for me, I want to be able to pour into my kids and in a way that it doesn't deter them from what they're put on this planet for, right? Because all of us have been gifted, as y'all said, with talents that has been given to us, kind of like just a natural thing, right? So the question for me to you all is: would you rather have talent or passion? Then we kind of talked about it a little bit.
Mhm.
But I wanted to kind of expound upon it. Would you rather have talent or passion? And you can't have both.
Talent. I think you can lose passion. You can lose passion. Um, yeah, I'd rather be talented.
Anyone else?
All right. So, talent does not always equate to opportunity. In that, because your character will then be a deterrent from your ability to use your talent as that opportunity. So, I look at it from the standpoint like you could have all the talent in the world, but if certain prerequisites aren't included in that, I think you'll miss out on those opportunities that your talent or the gift that you have can present. So that's how I look at it. I've seen it. People have mad talent, mad skills, but yet they lack something, whether it's character, integrity, whether it's work ethic, loyalty. There's certain things that would then allow that talent to be a void. So if it's talent or passion, I'd have to say passion, because yeah,
You use the term prerequisite, but talent seems like a pretty good prerequisite to passion. Because you can be very extremely passionate, but people hitting each other like that was great, but they ain't got no talent for this. So I think we could on another time. I'm gonna let everybody else go, of course, but I think that'd be a really good debate.
Oh, absolutely.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, y'all. I like that.
Yeah, it's that's a tough one for me. And just thinking about the fact that not every coach was a talented athlete. Let's just throw that out there.
Most of them, majority,
right, just didn't have it, but passionate about the game. And somewhere along the line, they found their groove, their opportunity to be attached to it in some way. And I imagine there's fulfillment that comes along with that.
Mm-hmm.
And man, that must be a great feeling. So I'm leaning toward that. Now, from a responsible standpoint, if I am skilled in something, I then will better use it, whether or not I like it or not, so that I can survive. There's just better chances of my survival if I use my skill set in order to earn. Now, you may be a little miserable at times, from that standpoint. But if we separate our feelings, skills, if we are talking about just a happy and fulfilling life, passion. So I got.
So you're saying that you'd rather have passion than talent?
If I can find an opportunity, yes, personally, I'm not recommending that. Let's be clear.
I do have an interesting comeback to you.
Hold on, let him finish.
So I'm not recommending that, because not even everybody will be the coach. Some will just be at the game. You know what I mean? And then they never really made it at anything, and so that's a scary thing to consider. And so the responsible answer that I do recommend, if you're skilled at something, pursue that at all costs, make a life for yourself, and then utilize your resources that you will acquire to somehow experience what you're passionate about in whatever way that you can. That's my answer. That's my answer.
Yeah. Sugar Mike, you said you're gonna say something. Then we
I just wanted to say, so talented player. Like, I get what you're saying about players and coaches, but coaching is a talent. So I think it's more saying talented players don't always translate into talented coaches, but coaching itself is a talent. So the talent itself isn't transitory and from one thing to the other. But aren't all teachers required to have bachelor's degrees?
Yes.
But all teachers that are teachers aren't good, effective teachers.
That's a fact.
Yeah. So it's I think we're looking at, when I say talent more so, I'm saying each thing in its own compartment is a talent. Even if it's, former player, or I'm sorry, great student. I was a great student, but can't be a great teacher. But both of those things are individual talents. That's the way I'm looking at it.
It's some of this is perspective. Hypothetically, your cousin, who is a doctor, may be a musical genius to the right ear, and somebody might say he missed his calling.
He's not. He's not. But I get what you're saying. He's not. You can't mix that. Like, literally, that's the foundation of being a good DJ.
But does he believe he's mixing?
It's so funny because he do act like he killing it. And the funny thing about it, I don't know if you got to be double jointed. He can't get the flick right while he's mixing. So he's trying to like move his whole arm. I'm like, dude, you have no wrist action on your mix, but nah. He can't sound good to anybody but himself. But
Dang it, Shay, what you got?
We need to make sure cousin watches this podcast so he can know it ain't it.
damn. No, I mean I've cracked jokes because he be like, man, you clowning on me, man. I'm out here coming up. No, he just spends too many hours in surgeries. And you think a surgeon would know how to use his hands better, but not for everything. It doesn't translate. That was my ultimate point. Talent doesn't translate into everything. So
Oh, that was funny. I'm just thinking personally, I was very talented in my job or whatever I did and working in corporate America, but I always got to a point where I didn't work. I was not motivated to get the work done. No matter how talented I was, how quickly I could get it done, I lacked the motivation to actually do it. And I didn't do it. And as a result, I was fired. So that was the first time I was fired. But when I think about my passion, there is a level of motivation there that has produced this discipline and consistency. And so for me, that will or should produce results, right? And so over time, because I've been so passionate about reading tax publications, it's increased my knowledge, which enhanced my talent to be able to do this on a much higher level, right? No one else is probably sitting up until 1 a.m. reading publications because I like reading, but I like to know the information, right? So I think after some time, if your passion is directed appropriately, it will produce results for you. It will increase your talent that will in turn allow you to profit well.
you're right. You're right. My only thing to that is that it should not be primary if it isn't profitable. Right? There are 24 hours in a day. It just shouldn't be your primary. I think most people, in fact, that's to King Rio's point. We have to teach work ethic. So most people don't realize that if you're going to be an entrepreneur or have some type of side business, it is best for you to have the ability to finance it yourself. Most successful businesses, the person financed it themselves. I went to work. Every business we started with these kids, right? When we had no time. So that means I'm up late night, right? Doing my website, drafting pages for my courses, spending large amounts of money on Facebook to market it. But I needed a job to pay for all of that. So now 3 years down the line, I got all 5-star reviews on Google. I got all this so the business can grow itself. Now the income from that could absolutely supplement my 9 to 5 income. And now I can say my passion can take over. Still not going to do it because I love money. But people aren't willing to do it that way because they want it to be primary from jump. Let me quit my job and go full on in, and they would have had that waiting period where you have to put in that sweat equity to get the business started. That's all I'm saying. Passion can absolutely be your primary. It just takes time, and most people aren't willing to invest that.
Yeah, and that
Go ahead.
and I would say that would be the exact reason why I would choose passion, because it's a passion is a motivator, like to bring you somewhere. So if I look at it from that standpoint, I could look around me and I could watch talented people fall off as I work harder than them, as work ethic and determination gets me to the destination that my passion will then drive me to. And a lot of people have different passions, whether it's making a lot of money, making people happy, being successful, which is in a variable term, which means many things for many people.
Yes.
They can then pursue that. So I see we're tying making money to this, which is a real thing, because in order to then pursue those things, they take time. And time, like they say, it is money, because hey, as young as you are now, or as young as we think we are now, there will be a time where we will not be able to, no matter how talented we are, no matter how passionate we are, our ability to make that income will no longer be there because of time when we're out of it. So at this moment when we do have the ability, and that's another thing I was thinking too, is as for talent, talented when? There's some people that that were back in junior high school who still talk about how talented they were back in junior high school. And then you like, man, come on, man. You ain't played football in 10 years. Like you ain't played basketball in 15 years, but you're still dwelling on how talented you were back then.
Ooh,
And that
this would make such a good debate because the only thing that's bankable is your talent. If you are willing to change, your passion isn't bankable. The
oh,
reason, yeah, the reason I'm able to, let's say, have a successful firearms training business is because I'm a talented competitive shooter. So people see my shooting video. So I can stop shooting for a year. I can be rusty, but I could always go back and practice because I'm better than the people who've been trying to do it for 10 years. So the only thing that's bankable is my passion. But no, I get what you're saying because I almost agree with you, but it's like, ooh, when it's time to like years down the road, and that person who had that knack for football, if they wanted to hone it a little bit, they could become a coach. They could not even just a coach. They're doing camps. People doing mini camps, making bread out here in Texas. You know that type of stuff. Or what do you call it? Coach private. When what's that thing where
like private sessions.
private the soccer people? Oh my goodness! You know how many the soccer people doing private sessions?
Yeah.
These one dude is making several hundred grand a year just doing that. So that's what I'm saying because he had the talent. That's what I mean. So only the talent is bankable. So that's why I'm
But
gonna
then
stay on the talent
But
side.
then,
So
but
let's
then that pushes it to coach being able to teach your talent. I think that's what they're ultimately doing at that point is they're teaching
Mhm.
what they're talented at, but then they're passionate in something. And as for what you're saying, as for the coaching, as for that being a talent in itself, I think that's one of those talents that is acquired because they were probably surrounded by people who were able to then pour into them, not talent, but then that passion which they want to pursue the ability to teach things to people as well. So as for I see myself like in the third grade, I remember passionately, I mean absolutely passionately, not I mean hating with a capital H, hating art class. Like send me the music, I'll go to music. Don't send me to art class. PE, yes, that's me, but don't send me to art class. I'm a photographer now. I have to reconcile that. It's not a full-time thing, but it's something where I'm like, hey, I like this. Hey, this is cool. Hey, I can learn how to be successful because it's not a natural talent. Because art in itself, it's something that you see and you could see it all, but it wasn't my passion. I didn't have people around me saying, hey, this is how you tap into the conceptual part of your brain and all this jazz.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was able to then find a way, by the grace of God, into being able to have the ability to learn. I'm like, okay, I could learn this. I could do this. And it's something that's acquired over time. The more time that you spend in doing something. So it says it takes about 10 years of doing something for you to be an expert at it.
Yeah.
And those 10 years are grinding. Like those are grinding years. Like trial and error through it. But as for a talent, you could just show up. You could just show up. But then the ones that are able to then transcend that for me are the ones who are able to then show up, but then have a motivation to continually show up, and do what it takes while you're there. So I really do look at it from a passion standpoint. Like you could, like the way I look at things, I could do anything I set my mind to,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if that's a talent, but that's a passion to say that, hey, having a set motivation to learn. Like as for with me, I love learning new things. Anyway, growing up that I could have a side hustle, I frown on that jack of all or jack of all jack of all trades or jack of all master of none. I struggle with that because I want to try and be good at everything, but it's difficult.
I was like, that's what a jack of all trade is.
let me ask you this, Dwayne. So let's say, for instance, we have that 11th grade aspiring entrepreneur. how do we teach sacrifice? I think Trigger might kind of touched on it a bit, about what comes with pursuing your passion sometimes, right? And even when we talk about entrepreneurship, because you hit these spells where it is just not clicking, right? Where things, you hit a wall and you're like, oh man, I'm not so sure about this, right? How do you teach them to get through that period? Let's say, for instance, your son, I don't know, Benjamin, we'll just say a name. He decides he wants to be a fashion designer, right? And so you invest into his business. But you go over the numbers and say, Benjamin, you have to sell 20 sweatshirts per week in order for you to pay me back, in order for you to turn a profit, and for you to also put money back into your business. Benjamin, if you don't hit that quota, well, unfortunately, you're going to have hot dogs and ramen noodles. Maybe you'll hustle harder the next week, but don't open that refrigerator, Benjamin, because I'm trying to teach you about life. There's nothing in there for you but these hot dogs and these ramen noodles. Do we parent with that level of discipline so that they don't get kind of smacked in the face about what really happens in life, what entrepreneurs really have to experience? A lot of entrepreneurs lose a lot before they win a lot, right? And so I think we would be remiss if we didn't teach and prepare for the conditions that they'll have to endure if they were to embark on such a journey. So are we doing that?
Yeah.
If we buy into their passions and we're supporting them, are we also teaching sacrifice?
Yeah, Shay, real quick before you jump in. I love that, because earlier we were talking about, somebody may mention as for if they want to be a chef, right? And I'm saying with whose supply? That's a chef. You want to be a chef, because all I see is you're going to be all up in there cooking, using up all my ingredients, right, for your passion. What if you ain't good at it? Right now, you're wasting all my material, all my supplies, all my stuff for your passion. So as I'm looking at it, I'm like, my daughter loves to bake, and I'm like, the price of butter. Oh man, this inflation is real. I love your passion, but you're gonna have to supply it, right? Because right now I'm the biggest investor in your passion and in your desires. So in that, it's like that's where I would then have to teach the reality of things. It's like, yeah, you love to bake, but do you know the cost of that? Do you know how much butter costs, how much flour costs, how much sugar costs, how much vanilla extract costs? That's whenever we get down to, hey, it's not all free.
Go ahead, Shay.
Oh, I was going to say I agree with that. The only thing I disagree with is the struggle life, because when you get to certain circles, you realize that everyone doesn't bootstrap. People, I have a friend who asked somebody for $200,000 to start their business, and they wrote a check for it. So those are rooms that we want to teach our kids to be in, right? We have to think of it in a broader way. And I'm not saying that every kid will be like that or every situation will be like that, but they have to be exposed to other avenues as well. Like, yes, I bootstrapped and used my job to invest in my business. However, that is not the only way to go. My son, he has a vending machine business. We went to Sam's, we went to Costco, we looked at how much everything was, and I taught him how to do his whole pricing strategy, right? So there are certain things that you will teach them along the journey. I don't think every part of that is struggle, but I do think that you have to just let them know and make them very aware of the possibilities, the potential as well, right? Because I don't ever want to limit them. So you want to let him know the potential as well, but you also want to just be very realistic about what's possible. So it's like, yes, these things can occur. And then that's why you should cover yourself with a warranty for your business. That's why, when he wanted to buy his first machine, I said, okay, you have to figure out how you're going to get half of the money for your first machine, and then I'll put on the second half, right? So there are certain skills that I think we can't teach as it relates to their passion, but I don't think that it all should be from you got to learn how to struggle and do X, Y, and Z. It's just playing smart. You really have to teach your kids how to play the game. And unfortunately for us, it's been played so differently that we think that that's the only way, right? And there are multiple ways to play this game, to make money, to get money, to keep money, and to create a system to where it's just producing for generations to come. There is a system for that.
So Shay, I got a question for you. For you raising an African American son, what is the likelihood do you feel that he walks into a room and asks for $200,000 and actually somebody starts pulling out their checkbook? Do you feel that's likely? And I'm not doubting it. I'm just asking.
I do feel it's likely. It depends on the circles that you're in. And so that's the thing that I want him to know, is that it is very much so likely. I just attended a conference with some women, some other Black women entrepreneurs, right? And we have to get out of the mindset of that it is unlikely that you can go in and ask for a $400,000, $500,000 contract, a $1 million contract. I think we have to get out of the mindset that there are limits. Will there be things that you have to overcome? Yes, but it is possible. And I want him to know that it's possible. And it's important for me to structure my life in a certain way so that he knows that it's possible, right? So that he is able to be in that same room to say, hey, I want this $400,000 contract. He got a contract with the school district. I just told him, hey, these are some things that they may ask you. He did his own meeting because I wanted him to know that it's possible. You can go into your own meeting and ask a board of people who look nothing like you, men who look nothing like you, and tell them that you want this contract for your vending machine business, to know that it is possible. Will you face some hurdles? You will, but it is possible. And I'm not going to put any limits on that.
So, and I'm with you there. One of the things I'm thinking the more and more you explain it, is I would need him to thoroughly understand that this isn't a gift for you to just take a chance on. You now have an expectation that you need to fulfill. And so don't take that lightly. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so you would all, especially raising a young man of good character, you almost, if he comes to me and I'm his father and I'm talking, I'm gonna say, okay, if you accept that check, understand that even if there doesn't appear to be strings attached, there's an expectation that you are going to manage this money exceptionally well, and that you are going to succeed, and you're going to do exactly what you said that you are going to do with it. You know what I mean? And so just having that understanding that there is not really a handout that's taking place. It's coming with some sort of expectation, whatever that expectation.
Right. And there are consequences, right? I think when we start to teach our kids about consequences, then they will begin to understand that, okay, if you don't do what you say you're going to do, there are consequences, right? If you don't deliver, there are consequences. If you don't show up, if you don't provide, there are consequences to everything. And it could be good things that come out of it, and it can be bad things that come out of it. But as long as we're teaching him a life that there are consequences for your actions, then you will know, in a sense, with our guidance on, if you don't deliver or something doesn't happen, then that's kaput, that's capiche, because you didn't live up to what you said you were going to do. So I think we have to continue to teach that in other areas of parenting, especially when they get that type of exposure. Because we tell our son all the time, his father and myself, the opportunities that you have, this is not a common thing. This is not what everybody is doing, right? But we're putting you here so that it can be a common thing. But in order for it to be a common thing, you have to succeed at what you're doing, just like I have to succeed at what I'm doing. His dad has to succeed at what he's doing, so that we can create this opportunity so that you can succeed. So each time we're giving you a head start, and that's how it should be. Each generation should be given a head start so that they can succeed even greater and go much further than what that previous generation did. And so that's the track that we're on. We're like, hey, you doing all this, this is not everyday kids' life, right? Like, you have to understand that, right? And that's why some environments we don't take him out of. Like, he goes to school in the hood, like the hood. And we like it that way. Like, and it's a great fit for him. And it's a great school for him as well. But that gives him the best of both worlds. Like, you live in a totally different environment from some of these kids, but you can also be influenced because you're that leader. And I already see that leadership qualities within you. So then you're going to inspire the other kids to be able to think bigger, to be able to think broader, to be able to do what you're doing. Like, he's saying, oh, mom, so and so said that they're making wristbands. Can I put those wristbands in my vending machine? That's what you're supposed to do. You giving your classmate an opportunity to make money. That's what we are teaching from the foundation of it. So then it can be duplicated. So then it can magnify, and so it can grow. But that takes time, which goes back to that Deion Sanders situation. It takes time to be able to duplicate, to replicate that, and to grow it to where it's sustainable, and it's just the expectation going forward.
Man, that's good. I don't even know if I want to get to this next question. Y'all have done an excellent job in in kind of deliberating your thoughts. I want to encourage parents to, in my estimation, to do both for their kids, to provide them an opportunity to get the practical skill sets of, whether it be a doctor, lawyer, those are things that they can do. However, what's wrong with being the facilitator of finances for their passion when they have the opportunity to fail, and you're able to see that and be there with them and for them. The different entrepreneurs that I interviewed during the process of getting my doctorate degree, the one thing that one of them was able to be an entrepreneur probably ever since I knew him, being in college. Right, he did work some other jobs, but those were really. He did have a IT degree or whatever. However, he was able to he's the DJ, as one of y'all had alluded to, but his that particular talent was a passion of his, and he's been an entrepreneur probably for like 30 years. So it was because his dad was very influential in telling him, if you want to become a person that doesn't have to work for anyone, then you're going to have these skill sets. And one of those things that King Rio alluded to was the work ethic. You also are going to have to listen. You're going to have to pay me back this money that I'm giving you to start your DJ business, right? I'm gonna put up this amount. So, and also to go along with what I'm saying is that the entrepreneurs that do well are the ones that actually had money from other people, that's sustainable. There are some that had their own and then was able to put into their business, but based on what I've seen in the research was the people that went to the Small Business Administration, that went to SCORE, that went to these different places, or had a rich uncle, if you will, that actually poured into them and said, you know what, I trust your decision making, and I see your vision in order to get there. There's a Black lady in Dallas. She has her own funeral home. She's one of the top funeral home directors in the state of Texas. And she didn't know where the money was going to come from, but she said, you know what, I know somebody that's in this space, so let me go ask them. And they wrote, and the guy was like, I'm waiting on you. I was waiting on you, and wrote her a check. You know what I'm saying? So these things are happening. I think that we kind of, in our culture, we get to the point of saying, okay, you just got to be you got to be a doctor, right? Even though they may be a comedian, right? Why can't they do both? I think like I said, King Rio was saying that. Why don't we nurture both? We're in the point of where they're under our leadership, and we can guide them in that direction, so that their passion and it could be nurtured. And by the time they get out of college, they could be on their way, or even before then, you know what I'm saying? Maybe high school. So that's just my take. I don't want to belabor the point. I do want to get y'all out of here. But I think we kind of talked about how we can discover our kids' passions and talents. And one of those things is to actually have a conversation with them.
And
If you
can I
talk to your
add
kid,
something, HD? I want to give kudos to my mom because I know a lot of people would be like, how was I able to do a lot of the things that I did? She didn't really understand what I wanted to do, honestly. And when people would tell her, when she would ask people or people would ask her, what do I do? She was like, well, I don't know. But my mom allowed me to stay at home, not pay any bills or anything so I could build my business. Like, kudos to her, right? I told her, Mom, I want to start buying properties. I was able to purchase properties. I was able to build my business. A lot of these things that now she's living in one of them, right? Because she allowed me and just invested that time as an adult to say, hey, I know you're still figuring out what you're wanting to do, and I don't quite understand it. However, I will provide a house for you to live in, and you can stay with me. You don't have to pay no bills. It was none of that. So I can get on my feet. And now I'm able to pay her back because she allowed me that time. And I would like to be able to do the same thing for my son and allow him to be able to do the same thing until you really get a solid footing to be able to go out into this world. You can make those mistakes under my roof with my money too.
Yeah, I'll take the opportunity to give a shout out to my mom or honor my mom in the process too, because I remember I got fired from Verizon Wireless. Man, out of out of high school, I was making good money, good money. Just couldn't show up on time. Uh, so that was one of the ones. Yeah, hey, hard lesson. Got fired from that job, and at that time, I had the opportunity to switch careers. So I was just tech support for Verizon, helping people with their phones. Wasn't really a passion of mine. What I really like to do is work on computers and stuff like that. So I took the opportunity to, all right, I'm gonna see about getting some certification. Found a boot camp. It was off in Florida, about $3,000. Did I have it? No, I did not. But my mom, she came through. I asked her, hey, can I borrow $3,000? And she let me borrow $3,000. And I am thoroughly blessed for that, because from her being able to do that, was able to then start my career. And as we were having this conversation, I was thinking about equality of opportunities versus equality of outcome. And that's one of the things that people are asking, what do they prefer, as for equality of outcomes or equality of opportunity. And as I look at it, not many people have a mother who would be able to do that. Not many people have a support system that will allow that. And that's what we always talking about, as for having the capital to be able to lend or invest into other people. Not many people have that. So that opportunity is not equal. And for those people who do get that capital, the outcome is not equal either. And I go back and I look at being able to then provide for our kids. The Bible says it's a good thing to leave an inheritance for your kids' grandkids. So that's like generational. And I don't think as an inheritance as always being monetary, but that's key in which what we've been talking about. So as for being able to build generational wealth, is something that we should be aspiring to do, because that can be that jump start to pushing to that next level for our kids. There are certain things that they can learn from us to be able to push them in that direction. That's not capital for them to be able to provide for themselves. But how much more is it? How much better would it be if we are able to then provide both, be able to then motivate their mind and also then motivate their ability to provide income for their family and their families after.
That's a bet, man. Well, I appreciate you all's time. It's been a dope show. You know what I'm saying? I never know how y'all gonna do with these questions, and y'all always come through in the clutch. Hey, check out the star, Miss Tax Professional, Shay McNuckles. Go get at her. She trying to teach people how to make money. You know what I'm saying? Hey, matter of fact, you know what, Shay, your homegirl Pharrell, I always mispronounce it all the time.
Carol.
Farrell. Okay, just real quick. Um, her and her husband, they dope, man. As it becomes to entrepreneurs, but I wanted to give a shout out to her. I had brought her a deal one particular point, but we didn't get to finish it. But what she was able to do was raise like about $2 million in about 2 weeks.
Yep.
Because of her network.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So and now from that, even though she didn't close with me, that was heartbreaking. But she was able to close some other things, and she rocking and rolling just because of her
Yeah.
network. So, teacher
That.
kid. One of the things that her husband said in the interview, he said, if your kid is going to go to college, that's a great time to start the business because you can network with so many different people, and you should use college as the tool to start your business because your market is there. That was one of the nuggets that he dropped in the interview that I had with him. So
Oh, nice. That's true. That's how my friend got her $200,000 check from someone she went to college with,
yeah,
and she was very talented, but decided to go for her passion. So yeah.
that's a bet. Well, it's been good, man. I appreciate y'all. Don't forget to go over there at Trigger Mike show. You know what I'm saying? He's having some good stuff. He be talking, boy. Listen, I don't talk as hard as you just yet. You know what I'm saying? I'm working on it. You know what I'm saying? He be giving the business for real. Uh, and then you got King Rio. He does his photography. As well as hey, can I mean, you doing some other stuff too, though, King Rio, over there in North Carolina, right? The real estate game.
Real estate, North Carolina and PA.
That's a bet. So you know what I'm saying. Y'all can holler at him about that as well. Then Dwayne, what I'm saying, he likes sitting back in the cut, but he's working on his photography as well. And he's a dope dude. He's been here with me through these rocky times and in the successful times. So we cool people once again. And for me, you can catch me here all the time for sure on Mondays at 8:45, and then humbledad.life. You know what I'm saying? You can see everything that's going on with me. Until next time, we out here. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. Deuces. Y'all have a good one. Man, another phenomenal show. My people came through. The questions just be coming to me at last minute. Like some of the questions I kind of thought about as they were conversing and talking. And the one thing that's important to me as I run this particular channel is for parents to prioritize their kids. And I know that's a challenge at times. It's a challenge for me, but as I'm listening to this conversation, it sparks my my passion to make sure that that I am making sure that my kids are well taken care of by me, financially, but as well as emotionally, and also as it relates to building a skill set and finding out what their passion is, and hopefully those align. If they don't, but seeing how they can align, and for them to start something of their own and to build their own their legacy with already what I have started. So thank y'all so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like. Please share this with another parent and subscribe to the channel. And till next time, deuces.